Hey everyone, it's Jim McGuinn from Teenage Kicks, and this week we are talking about two records released in February of 1980. End of the Century by the Ramones, their fifth album, and Get Happy from Elvis Costello and the Attractions, the fourth Elvis Costello record. So the Ramones at this point in their career had just pumped out a bunch of records, and for this album they decided to work with legendary producer Phil Spector, who was just coming out of a self-imposed retirement that had started in the mid-1960s. He added a bit of the wall of sound to their sound. There were saxophones in the mix. There was a hugeness to some of the songs that really worked on tracks like Do You Remember Rock and Roll Radio and Rock and Roll High School. And immediately after this record came out, the Ramones would end up starring in that movie, Rock and Roll High School, from which one of the songs ended up in that soundtrack as well. Elvis Costello, on the other hand, was coming off of Armed Forces, a really classic record from him, and he was in a point in his career where he is incredibly prolific, writing tons of songs, and he worked with the band, and they kind of took a break from the new wave and incorporated a few more sounds into their palette, a little bit of ska and a lot of R&B, a little bit of Stax and Motown influencing the Elvis Costello record Get Happy. They went to Holland to record it. The sessions, I guess, were a little tipsy, but it turned out to be a pretty great record, even though it didn't have the big hits or the kind of classic status that Armed Forces would eventually acquire. So a couple of records this week from early 1980, 40 years ago. It's the Ramones' End of the Century and Elvis Costello's Get Happy. All right, here's a little snippet of a song from the Ramones' End of the Century and Elvis's Get Happy. Remember this one? Do you remember lying in bed with the covers pulled up over your head, radio playing so no one can see? We need change and we need it fast before rock's a part of the past, 'cause lately it all sounds the same to me. Oh, whoa, whoa. And then Elvis at that time on Get Happy was doing a little Stax like this. I can't stand up, falling down. I can't stand up, falling down. It's the Ramones' End of the Century, Elvis Costello, Get Happy, this week on Teenage Kicks.